For years, we've kind of looked at AI like a super smart calculator, a passive tool that predicts or translates or creates stuff when we tell it to. But that's all starting to change. We are right on the edge of a brand new era, moving from AI that just answers us to AI that actually actively gets things done. So let's dive in and demystify these new AI agents.
So what is the big difference here? I mean, really? Well, think about it like this. On one side, you have the AI we're all used to. It's a passive tool. You ask a question, you get an answer. You ask for a picture, it makes you one. But on the other side, that's the future, the autonomous partner. It doesn't just answer your question about travel, it plans and books the entire trip for you. The huge difference is that shift from just reacting to proactively doing.
Okay, so how does this magic actually happen? What makes these agents tick? Well, to really get it, we've got to look under the hood. And at its core, an agent is kind of built like us, with three key parts that all work together: a brain, some hands, and a nervous system.
All right, first up, you've got the model. This is the brain of the whole operation. It's the core language model, like a Gemini or a GPT, that does all the heavy lifting, all the reasoning. It processes the request, it weighs the options, and it makes the big picture decisions and plans. It is the central thinking engine for literally everything the agent does.
But, a brain on its own can't really do much, right? It needs a way to interact with the world. And that's where the tools come in. These are the agent's hands. They're the APIs, the little bits of code, the database connections that let the agent take real action, to search the web, to fire off an email, or update a customer's record. This is what connects its thinking to the real world.
And finally, the part that connects the brain to the hands, that's the orchestration layer. This is basically the nervous system. It's the process that runs the whole show. It takes the plan from the brain, picks the right hand for the job, makes the action happen, and then it feeds the results right back to the brain. This is what keeps the entire system humming along in a constant, productive loop.
Okay, so we've got the brain, the hands, and the nervous system. But how do they all come together to actually get something done? Well, it all comes down to a continuous cycle, a really simple but incredibly powerful loop.
This right here is the agent's action cycle. First, it thinks. The brain looks at the goal and maps out a multi-step plan. Second, it acts. The nervous system tells a hand, one of its tools, to go execute the very first step of that plan. And third, it observes. It looks at the result of that action, updates its own memory with what it learned, and then it does it all over again. Think, act, observe. It just keeps repeating that cycle until the job is done. If you wanted to just boil this whole thing down to one killer sentence, this quote from the source material absolutely nails it. A language model, that's the brain, stuck in a continuous loop with tools, the hands, all to get a specific goal accomplished. That is the engine inside every single AI agent. Okay, I know this might still sound a little abstract, so let's bring it down to earth with a super simple everyday example. Just imagine you ask a customer support agent a question we've all asked. Hey, where's my order? Okay, so check this out. This table shows you that loop in action, step by step. The agent gets the mission. Its first move is to think. It thinks to itself, okay, first things first, I gotta find this order in the database. So it acts, using its find order tool. Then it observes the result. Boom, it found the order and got a tracking number. So the loop starts again. It thinks, all right, next up, I need to track this package. It acts, using its get shipping status tool with that new tracking number. It observes the status is out for delivery. And for the final loop, it thinks, I have everything I need, time to report back. It acts using generate response. And just like that, the answer is delivered right to you.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Not all agents are created equal. Not even close. Just like with any tech, they exist on a spectrum of power and capability. It starts with simple little problem solvers and goes all the way up to systems that can evolve themselves. At the very bottom, you've got level 0. This is pretty much just the brain by itself, a language model in isolation. It's incredibly smart about all the data it was trained on, so it can explain the entire history of the Roman Empire. But if you ask for the score of last night's game, it has absolutely no idea. It's completely disconnected from the live, real world. Level 1 is where things start to get interesting. This is where the agent becomes a true agent. We connect that brain to its first hands, a tool like a search engine. Now, when you ask about last night's game, it can think, hey, I need real-time data. Act by using its search tool and observe the score to give you the answer. It's finally connected to reality.
At level 2, the agent gets way smarter. It becomes a strategic planner. It's not just reacting to one simple question anymore. It's creating and following through on multi-step plans. For example, if you ask it to find a coffee shop halfway between two addresses, it gets that it needs to do two different things in order. First, use a map tool to find the midpoint, and then use a places tool to search in that specific area. That's real strategic thinking.
Now, level 3, this is where things get really, really transformative. We're not just talking about a single agent anymore. We are talking about a whole team of specialists. Instead of one agent trying to do everything, you have multiple agents that work together, each with its own specialty, just like a human team.
Think about a product launch, right? You've got this project manager agent, but it doesn't do all the work itself. No way. Instead, it gets the main goal and acts like a real manager, delegating tasks to its specialist agents. It tells one to go analyze the competitors, another to draft up the press releases, and a third to build the actual website. This is how you can start to automate entire complex business projects.
And finally, way out on the horizon, we have what a lot of people think is the ultimate goal, level 4, the self-evolving system. This is an agent that can actually recognize a gap in its own abilities, like, hey, I really need a tool for this and I don't have one, and then it can go and autonomously build that new tool or even create a new specialist agent to fill that gap. This is the real frontier, where the system starts to learn and grow all on its own. So, after seeing all this, what's the big takeaway? Why does any of this matter? Well, the most important point is that we need to stop thinking about this as just automation and start thinking about it as collaboration.
This quote from the source material just sums it up perfectly. We're not just building faster tools, we are creating autonomous systems that can actually work as partners with us. They are becoming highly efficient, super adaptable, and just incredibly capable new members of our teams.
And that really brings us to the final thought here. As this tech keeps getting better, the question isn't just, what can this tool do for me anymore? The real question is becoming, what can we achieve together? So I'll leave you with this. What will you achieve with an autonomous teammate?